Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news. Today is Thursday. Today's news is brought to you by Gun Pro Deals. You can look them up online very easily, and you can get one of these. This is the XM42 Lite from X Products. This is a flamethrower. It's actually an extended reach torch, like the modern day sporting torch, and they have some of these left in stock, so check them out. If you want to grab one of these are illegal in only 2 states, and they're legal in the other 48. I believe it's Maryland and California. You can't get them. But everywhere else, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. Quick delivery, too. I just bought this a couple days ago, and it arrived. You can grab one on Gun Pro Deals, their website. I can't post, but you can find them very easily. And let's get on with today's news. All right, let's talk a little bit about California. California, as we all know, is not a very gun-friendly state, okay? But there are a lot of freedom-loving people in California, and there's a law on the books there. It's microstamping. And what does microstamping do? It forces manufacturers, in order to place a new firearm on their handgun roster, what it does is it forces a company to have a specific set of microscopic numbers, letters, and characters that will identify the make, model, and serial number of the individual firearm. Has to be stamped on the case, as well as 2 other spots within the firearm. And even more specifically, has to be on the internal working parts. And that's been the law for a while, which locks California's handgun roster pretty much where it is, similar to Massachusetts. In addition to the microstamping features in California, also each handgun, in order to be sold, has to have a magazine disconnect as well as a loaded chamber indicator. And we know that there are already firearms that don't do that. And some manufacturers don't want to work in a redesign, which could cost them millions of dollars in order to add a single, safety feature that these Democrats call it, or these anti-gunners, and that could, maybe they don't even recoup that money with the amount of sales. So, and it's similar in my state here. California and Massachusetts are like, buddies when it comes to, screwing the people here. The difference in Massachusetts is we have a statutory number for the trigger pull. It has to be like pulling a tractor trailer. So that law's been on the books for a while, and that is actually one of the main reasons in talking to some of my friends in the industry. There's a reason why Glock still makes the Gen 3 Glocks. It's because places like California and Massachusetts can still buy them. Let's talk about this new bill that's come up. Now, this is Assembly Bill 2847, and I'll have a link down below. And there's been a lot of talk about this bill of late because of what this bill looks to do. It's kind of comical in how blatant California is being with its hatred towards firearms. It's amazing. But I will say that now we have been, locked down for 2 months, and homeschooling across the nation has been going on, with basically 100% of all the houses in the homes with children, and there hasn't been one homeschool shooting. So that goes to tell you that it's really not the guns, it's really the people with the problems that go do that stuff. So let's talk about what this bill looks to do. And I'll read you a couple, great sections of this bill. But what it looks to do is establish a date of July 1st, 2022, in which if a gun does meet their standards, and they're actually going to lower the standards to make it easier, and we'll talk about that. But once a new handgun gets on this, the roster as deemed as a safe firearm by California, it'll remove 3 of those firearms that are on the roster that they will consider not to be safe. As if punching a number on a case makes a gun safe. Really? It's the person holding the tool and the person handling the tool with their booger, the booger hook, that makes a gun safe or not. It's not the actual firearm, because I have numerous firearms. In fact, there's 2 of them right here on my desk. There's a ZevTech OZ9 and FDE, and there's a SIG 320, and they're sitting here for a reason, because I'm doing something after this video, but none of them have gone off. It's not the guns, it's the control factor for these dopes. But this bill will effectively delete those unsafe guns off of the roster. So if some manufacturer out there, Smith, Glock, insert the name here, decides that they want to screw the Second Amendment community and make a gun that is eligible for the new roster requirements in California, it'll actually take away guns from people in California, or the ability to purchase firearms off of the roster. So when I said that they're going to actually lower standards, and what they're actually going to do is, you only, instead of having, you know, the three total, at least three total microstamps within the working parts of the gun and on the case, they're going to move it down to just one. So let's go to this bill and we'll talk about some of the absolute ridiculousness that's in this bill. And it's made for people who know nothing about firearms, and it is full of BS, smoke and mirrors. But that's what this channel is here for, to help people see the truth about some of these bills, because, you know, bills are tough to read and really boring, and not a lot of people want to do it. So they start off the bill with the Safe Firearms Handgun Act and why it's a great thing. And then if you look down, I'll have the link to the bill down below if you want to read this yourself. But then it goes into things like Section F. It says, incorporating a chamber load indicator and a magazine disconnect mechanism in more handgun models sold in California would likely reduce unintentional firearm deaths and injuries in this state. Nope, there's absolutely nothing on the firearm that makes it safer. It all comes down to this and basic firearm safety skills, which must be in this. The person using the tool is the person who basically will use it effectively or not. Now, this firearm does have a loaded chamber indicator, because the Zev OZ9 is based off of the Glock Gen 3, and Glock started putting that little, you know, raised section on their extractor, you know, so the person, I guess, basically, if you forgot that you loaded your gun, you could slide your finger here and see if it's loaded or not, you know, because if you don't know how to press check, or if you don't know, well, if I rack that slide, it's loaded now. So it doesn't matter if there's like a little flag that pops up like the mailbox and says, hey, there's something in here. It doesn't make the gun safer, because somebody's still going to pull that trigger. Then they go into microstamping. It's paragraph G, or section G. It says, incorporating microstamping features in more handgun models sold in California would likely reduce interpersonal gun violence in the state by aiding law enforcement efforts to solve and deter shootings, homicides, and other gun-related crimes, and prevent cycles of retributive violence from occurring. Really? There's somebody out there that thinks that if a certain number is imprinted on a case or a primer, that the gangbangers aren't going to shoot each other? Are you really that stupid to think that, the firing pin has a number on it, I can't just take that firing pin out and replace it with one that doesn't, or just scrape it on the cement a few times and get rid of that number and still shoot somebody if I really cared? Criminals, it's tough. This is tough for the anti-gunners to figure out. And it's also tough for the sheeple to figure out, because they don't ever take this into consideration. Criminals are called criminals because they don't follow the law. So microstamping isn't going to stop the Bloods and Crips from going at each other. Microstamping is not going to stop a murderer who's hell-bent on committing murder from murdering somebody. Just not going to happen. You could make guns fluorescent pink and they'll still kill each other. Also, notice that on both things that they're requiring, it's likely that it could possibly help towards our endeavor of saving people. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. But the fact remains that not one manufacturer is doing this. Not one manufacturer, to my knowledge, is even seriously working on this. There were a couple that looked into it, but the cost to retool an item is very expensive. In this bill, they even try to tell people how much it costs to change a gun to be, follow this microstamping implementation. It says in section 2, implementation costs are minimal, between $1.50 and $5 per firearm. No, that's not right, because it costs millions of dollars to retool stuff. So what it comes down to is, in addition to their magazine disconnect and the external loaded chamber flag or indicator or peep through window, They want every gun that has microstamping in the future, if whenever is created by a company, that will be the cause of removing 3 guns off of the current existing roster that don't have those features. So that would include basically everything that doesn't have microstamping. In essence, the way this bill is written and the way the current law on the books in California is written, if companies don't create a microstamping gun, it kind of stays status quo, which sucks too, but it won't delete guns from the roster. Now, remember that tomorrow the United States Supreme Court will be conferencing on 10 Second Amendment cases, and one of them has to do with microstamping in California. That case is Pena v. Horan, and you know where to find the updates on that. That's right here on Guns and Gadgets. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is where you're going to find that stuff. It's just ludicrous, the fact that people play off of words to try to trick people to approving a bill. And that's what goes on every day in every state. But please forward this information, because the more we know, the better off we are, and this bill cannot pass. So I will leave another link down below with how to locate your California representatives, the state level, and you can call them, and you can tell them that, hey, I'm a California resident, and I don't want Assembly Bill 2847 to pass. Again, please forward this to your friends, your family, your classmates. Go look through your yearbook and find some people, send it to them, because people need to know this. Until we see each other again, this is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry your weapon, and grab one of these. Take care, everybody.